everybody. Let me get to the comments. Let's see. Okay. There we are. Miguel, thank you. I swear you're always freaking first. So thank you so much. You're amazing. So tonight, it's been a minute. But tonight I have Mr. Ron Placone. It has been quite some time, Ron. What's up?
Hi, Joy. How's it going? How are you?
I'm existing. That's all
That's
we can
fair.
hope for.
Yeah, I feel you.
So first, I want to say thank you all so much to those who have reached out and checked in on me and everything. It's not a getting that diagnosis wasn't that great, but I have my first appointment at the Women's Cancer Center next week. So yeah, like I'm doing what I can. But anyway, thank you guys so much for reaching out and all of your DMs and all of that nice stuff. I appreciate it. So tonight, Ron wanted to stop by because there is some serious shit going on with net neutrality. Like it is bad. So we've talked about this before, but it has been a minute. Basically this person, Gigi Song, she was essentially who you wanted for the new position, correct?
Yes.
And now she has withdrawn because of corrupt lobbyists. So for those who are not up to date with any of this, can you just kind of go over what position she was up for and what that would entail?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I gotta mention I must have missed. I didn't hear a health news from you. So whatever's going on, I'm really sorry to hear that. But this is my
Thank
first
you.
time hearing about it. So yeah, sorry. I don't want to like pry or anything, but yeah, I wasn't aware of anything. So I just thought
No,
I'd
I
mention
posted about it yesterday.
it.
It's
Okay.
new.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope all's well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, getting to your question. So Gigi Sohn was Biden's appointee to the FCC, which would give the FCC a fully staffed FCC, which means it would be a pro net neutrality FCC. Because right now we're in a 2-2 gridlock to anti net neutrality FCC commissioners to pro. So this would give us a third pro net neutrality FCC commissioner. She's also really good on a lot of other digital rights issues as well, which because the head of the FCC right now is Jessica Rosenworcel, who is also really good on these issues. There could be a lot of stuff that a fully staffed FCC would get done right now that would be good stuff in terms of broadband deployment, things like getting net neutrality back, better data privacy, or they could at least get the wheel turning on some of that stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that they could do as far as within the scope of the FCC that would really give us some wins here. And, to be fully clear, too, like Biden is not like some big net neutrality fighter or anything like that. Biden agreed to appoint a pro net neutrality FCC commissioner during the Bernie Biden task force, which was like that task
So do
force
you
they had.
think he understands what net neutrality is?
hmm So net neutrality is net
No, I
neutrality.
mean, do you think Biden understands it? Like, do
Oh,
you
I
think
thought you were like, what is net neutrality? No, I mean, dude, it is good to like kind of summarize sometimes. And sometimes I do forget to do that. But yeah, no, I don't think he does. No, I
No,
mean,
I
I
feel
think
like if
he's,
he did, he'd be like, fuck that.
well, he started his campaign with a bunch of Comcast executives, which is a staunchly anti net neutrality company. So yeah, I mean, but it was one of the concessions he made during the Bernie Biden task force, which I think was just largely performative, but that was one solid promise he made where it was like, okay, if he actually does that, it's a good thing. By definition, he did do it. He appointed Gigi Sohn, but he didn't use his bully pulpit at all to pressure anybody to confirm her. they dragged their feet so long on this thing. She had these ridiculous right-wing smear campaigns against her to the point where she had 3 hearings. I streamed the third one. I've watched all of them. The third one I streamed live over at Status Coup. And it was such a frustrating process because it was just, BS political theater from Ted Cruz and JD Vance, because they're trying to throw all these smears at her so that, she wouldn't get confirmed. And recently, Joe Manchin bailed on her. And so between Joe Manchin bailing on her, between the Democrats who are absent, and between the fact that there is like a stonewall of Republican, anti-support for her, like Republicans aren't going for her at all, I think she knew that she wasn't going to get through the Senate. So she withdrew her nomination after this process had been going on for 2 years. Now, the way we had it prior, if everyone would have kept their promise, she would have gotten through, but people didn't. And, so it's a mess right now. And right now the fight now is to try to get a new appointee who is also pro net neutrality, hold Joe Biden to keeping that promise of appointing a pro net neutrality FCC commissioner. And, what the opponents of net neutrality are going to do is they're going to try to wait out the clock until they hopefully get a Republican in the White House who they won't be able to, who won't make such a promise, or is less likely to at the very least. And then, they're just going to keep things going the way they're going. So it's a hard loss. I mean, I like ate ice cream in the middle of the afternoon when the news hit. The news hit on Tuesday, and it really did. I mean, it felt like a punch in the stomach. And but we are going to regroup. I collaborate with Fight for the Future. We're just going to figure out what to do next right now. I mean, right now, like they're still sort of like the shell shock mode, but we're going to just figure out what to do next here. And in the meantime, the bright spot is there are states that have net neutrality laws passed, which is holding down the front line for the entire country, even if like a particular state doesn't have it. And, there's still a lot of public support for it. I mean, over 83% of Americans support net neutrality. And to give people a quick cliff notes on what net neutrality is just that which keeps the internet free and open and running like flowing water. So whether you go to this show or whether you go to CNN.com or whether you go to whatever website, everything loads the same. All traffic gets treated the same. An internet service provider like Comcast or whoever, they cannot discriminate against certain websites. They can't let one website load faster than another or anything like that. So that's what net neutrality is. And we're seeing people mess around in a kind of post net neutrality world. I mean, I mentioned we don't have it federally right now. Recently in Texas, they're trying to pass a bill that would literally outlaw abortion information from the internet. Like they're getting Texas ISPs, so like Comcast in Texas or whoever else is there, to literally censor abortion information off the internet. And
I was going to talk to you about that. Like how, I guess that's, well, first of all, it's completely fascist, but I don't understand how, like, couldn't you just go to like a national website and kind of surpass that if you're in Texas?
All right. So, I mean, now you're getting like insider, like techie talk, and I can,
Sorry.
no. I'm not a tech person though. I can explain it at a very basic level, but I mean, you would need like I'm a policy guy. I'm so not a tech person at all, but I could kind of explain how that works. So, like your internet service provider is just, what gives you the connection to the internet. And that is, even though these are like national companies and, you do have like your local hub. So they could fudge with your internet that way if they wanted to. That's something they could do. What you would need to do to surpass that, in this case, you would need like a different direct connection to the internet. Because even if like one thing that people do is they get a VPN that says they're in a different place. That can help you out with some things. But if your ISP is still in, say, Texas, and they have some across the board thing where they like legit censor
Oh.
websites. Even if you have a VPN that says like you're in England, if they're your ISP, you would still be liable to all that. So what you would need that VPN to say you're somewhere else, but you would also need some kind of connection to the internet that completely bypasses that ISP, something like a T1 connection, which is literally someone directly connecting to the internet on their own. I'm pretty sure tech-wise that's how it would work in such a situation. I might not have all my T's crossed there. Again, not a tech person, but that is my like lay person understanding of such a situation.
That makes sense. So as far as Gigi goes, like I know she was the best one. So there's not, lack of a better term, like a runner up. It comes down to the point that Biden will need to nominate someone else.
He needs to pick someone else. I mean, yeah, like this is one of those things. Nominating someone to the FCC typically takes a couple weeks. All of Trump's picks were a couple weeks. All of Obama's picks were a couple weeks. It is a very standard thing. That's why this should have just been a slam dunk win, you know? It was historic that it took this long. And by the way, like it's not like Biden nominated her on day one either. Like Biden took historically long just nominating her. Like for the longest time, we were like, nominate someone, dude. You promised us, nominate someone. He finally nominated Gigi Sohn, which was a victory because we're like, okay, you finally nominated someone, and you nominated someone decent. All right, we'll take it. Now you got to approve her. And the cycle started all over again. The Senate just was not in a hurry, not in a hurry. So, you know, the big right-wing smear campaigns against her that, you know, like included a lot from tech lobbyists and stuff like that. That was the big, you know, like the big, like kick in the gut here. But Biden's indifference, corruption in the Senate from both parties, Democrats and Republicans alike, that was all, I mean, that was all part of this too. And the fact that no Democrats defended her, like not one. So, I mean, you know, there's bipartisan blame here. There's blame at the White House. And it really sucks. I mean, it's just a huge loss. I mean, you know, like I'm not somebody who like polishes the turd that is a loss. So I call it for what it is. It's a freaking loss. We lost big time on this one. And you know, we're gonna fight another day, obviously, but it's you know, we're still kind of in shell shock mode. At least I am.
So is there no way he could have made that ship more expeditious
What do
as
you
the
mean?
president via not like necessarily executive order or something, but there you would think somebody had to be in that position.
He could have definitely used his bully pulpit to be like, okay, let's move it along. And that would have been very effective. So, yeah, I mean, Biden's indifference. And of course, he could have nominated her a hell of a lot sooner. I mean, he took, again, typically it's done in the first few weeks. I mean, I think it was almost a year. Like it was like, yeah, I mean, it was like a historically long time. Like, I think it may have been the longest any president has ever taken. Because I for the longest time, it was like Richard Nixon for whatever reason. I don't know why, but Richard Nixon for whatever reason during one of his terms, like took forever to nominate someone to the FCC for whatever reason. And they said like the only other time that had happened prior to Biden right now was that Richard Nixon case. I'm not sure if Biden ended up taking even longer than him. I think he might have. So Biden might have just made history for how long he took. So yeah,
Well, now
Biden's certainly guilty in all this too.
Nixon would have been like pre-internets too,
Right. Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
interwebs.
Yeah. So I have no idea why it took him long or what the situation was there. I'm not like, you know, privy to that part of Nixon. But yeah, for whatever reason, it took him a long time to appoint somebody to the FCC. Maybe he was watching football.
Could be.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
no,
now we have
he
to
likes
wait for
football.
him to directly nominate someone else.
Yes. Yes. And at
And
the record he went the first time. Could be bad. So
yeah, I think you're right as far as them waiting because the way things have gone for decades, it's Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat. So they probably do want, Trump back in or what have you. And then they'll just, go back to what's his name, like Ajit Patel or something.
Ajit Pai, yeah.
Pai,
He blocked me on Twitter. Actually, I'm blocked by Ajit Pai. I usually don't like view blocks as some badge of honor, but I was kind of proud that I got blocked by Ajit Pai. but yeah. I mean, he's the guy who got in net neutrality in the first place, and yeah, they want an anti-net neutrality FCC because like that's just their biggest thing, because they know like the big cable companies who lobby them like hell, there's a lot of money to be made in a post net neutrality world for them. And you're seeing how, like other powers that be can take advantage of this for their own dogma and their own agenda, like what's happening in Texas, which by the way was like very ironic, because a lot of people who are ignorant about what net neutrality is, they make statements like, well, net neutrality lets the government control the internet, which no, that is not what it does at all. But interestingly enough, not having net neutrality can allow Republicans in Texas to try to censor abortion websites off the freaking internet. That's what a net neutrality less world can give you. So it's actually the other way around. So if you hear anybody ever parroting that blatant misinformation, you can tell them, no, it's the opposite. Without net neutrality, that's something that's at risk.
That is so scary, because if that passes, they can, well, first of all, other states can do it and they'll learn from that precedent. And then also, what's next? Okay, first it's abortion, and then they'll probably ban LGBTQ plus things, and that is freaking terrifying. So yeah, absolutely. And why is it only 5 votes? Like, I know right now it's 2-2 and we need that other one, but why only 5?
I don't know. I mean, they need an odd number, right? Otherwise, it would always be a
that
deadlock.
makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think 5's a fine number of FCC commissioners. I don't, I don't really have an opinion on that one way or another. But yeah, I mean, the fact that they're in total gridlock, it must be a really easy gig right now being part of the FCC, because you don't have to do anything. It's like, well, we're not going to agree on anything, so we can't get anything done. And the fact that like they've allowed a government agency to be this way for years is just so mind-blowing. And who knows how long. I mean, this could be, I mean, at this point, I really thought when they re-upped their nomination, they weren't going to be able to like drag their feet on this much longer. I really did think that. But when Manchin freaking delivered the knife in the back, and it wasn't just him. I mean, there were a handful of others. And it's the fact that honestly, some of the absences are part of the problem too. So the fact that like Fetterman in Pennsylvania is just like not present right now, so he can't vote. I'd imagine he would vote for her, but still, like, he's not there. So that's like another issue too, that she just kind of realized she wouldn't get through, or at least concluded that she wouldn't get through, and yeah. So it's just an amazing fumble, like amazing fumble.
What else is going on right now in the fight for net neutrality for those who aren't up to speed?
Well, you can go to battleforthenet.com. That'll probably be updated really soon as far as what the next steps are. But right now, I mean, all you can really do is just, let your elected officials know you demand a pro net neutrality appointee from Joe Biden. I mean, unfortunately, something like the FCC, I mean, that is kind of a top bottom thing. I mean, they're appointed by the president. They got to get approved by the Senate. There's no other way around that. Some of the other things you could do is like, try to fight for net neutrality at the state level if you don't have it in your state. The more states that get it, that helps everybody, because that means the ISPs can't really unroll anti-net neutrality packages. So that does help nationally. So there's that. But, right now it's just kind of like, again, it's like feeling the shell shock and deciding what to do next.
I forgot to ask too, in Texas, how would that be implemented? Would that be legislation or by cable companies, or how would they come to be able to do that?
Well, what they would have to do is they would basically make it legislation, and then they would bring that to the ISPs, and the ISPs would have the option to either just follow it, which I'm sure they just would, or if they didn't, like if they took a stand for whatever reason, well, then they would have to get out of Texas. They'd be like, well, you can't do business in Texas. I mean, that's what helps us keep net neutrality, because it's like, California, for example, we have a net neutrality law. So any ISP that wants to be in California, they have to follow net neutrality because we have it. So, and they want to be in California because it's so freaking big. So, that kind of helps avoid anti-net neutrality packages from happening. So, like in this case, Texas similarly is really freaking big. So I doubt you're going to find a cable company that's going to be like, oh, we'll just bail on Texas. They're not going to do that. I mean, it all comes down to dollars and cents with these companies. If they thought the PR would help them and they could sacrifice the customer base, maybe they'd do it. But in this case, the customer base you're talking is freaking Texas. So they ain't gonna do that, like they ain't gonna do that. If it was like Wyoming proposing a law like this, I'd be like, well, maybe one of these cable companies will take the PR and they're gonna leave Wyoming, but they ain't gonna leave Texas. Texas is a big freaking place with a lot of freaking people, so they'll just abide by it and they'll just like literally scrub these websites. It's freaking nuts.
So, as far as we kind of talked about what lack of net neutrality does, but what would net neutrality gain people?
It would keep the internet for us. I mean, honestly, like it would make stuff like this possible indefinitely. We've had net neutrality since we've had the internet. Like net neutrality was an assumed law since we've had the internet. We just cemented it on the books in 2015. But it was like an assumed law since we've had the internet. And for years, digital rights people were like, let's get it on the books because these ISPs are going to mess with us as soon as they can. People thought we were crying wolf. People thought we were worried about something that wasn't, something that needed to be worried about, until the ISPs tried to mess around in 2014. Then we were like, hey, we told you so. You should have listened to us. But then fortunately, we got net neutrality on the books the following year in 2015. So we have not seen the effects of a post net neutrality world, and hopefully we never will. Net neutrality allows the internet to be the thing the way it is. Without it, it's more like, what would we lose? And what we would lose is pretty much everything involving the internet. Shows like this would not happen anymore. Like podcasts, online video, it would just all be dominated by those who could pay the fees to get their content to load faster. So we could honestly have a future where Amazon is the only thing on the freaking internet. I'm not even kidding. And, people think like, oh, that's fantastic. Well, that'll never happen. Look, in 1995, they wouldn't have ever believed that what happened with radio would have happened. They never would have believed. If in 1995 you told them, hey, did you know that one company is going to own like almost all the radio stations across the country, like in a year? They'd laugh at you. They'd laugh in your face. But guess what happened a year freaking later? And everyone was sitting there like wondering like, hey, I don't have a job anymore. The same thing could happen to the internet. They did it to radio. They did it to television. The internet still, at the end of the day, it's a much bigger medium, comparatively speaking, but it's still just the newest medium. They could take it from us. So, I mean, that's what's at stake here. What's at stake here is that, 20 years from now, we could be telling our kids and grandchildren what the internet used to be like. And it's like, without this communication vehicle in our lives, what do we really have? We're pretty freaking screwed.
Yeah, seriously. Once we started going on social media, we kind of realized how small our real life circles are, and how, things like this really expand and give you the privilege to meet so many other people from around the world. What is so I know when I've talked about this before, I had a few people ask about price. Now, I know you may not know like the technicals of this, but is it going to like raise prices one way or another?
Oh, without net neutrality, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it would be way more expensive. I mean, what they would do is they would price gouge your internet. That's why they want to get rid of it,
Right.
so they can make more money. They don't really give a poop about like, oh, the internet's going to suck. They don't care. They just want to make money. And the different ways they could make money is one, again, like they could charge, CNN.com. That video might load fast because it's CNN.com, but something like this won't load fast, and you're like, oh well, what about YouTube? They're a big company. They would just work out a deal. YouTube would be taken care of. It's the creators on YouTube who would be screwed, let's be real.
Right.
So they would price gouge that way, and they would make money that way. The other way they would make money is they would like have designated fast lanes and slow lanes that people would have to freaking pay for, and that's a level above just paying for a different internet speed like what you do now. It's a level above that. And they could even break down packages, kind of like how you can have a premium cable package or you have a basic cable or like whatever that stuff is these days. I'm not even sure because I just do Roku or whatever. But yeah, like you have all these different packages. It could look like that, where it's like, oh, you want to go to Facebook and Twitter? That's the social media package, which is an extra $20 a month instead of just giving you the internet. So yeah, I mean, as far as price, I mean, the internet would be, if the internet even stays the way it is, which it very well could not in a true post net neutrality world, it would be something that, could become like a total luxury good.
Wow. That is fucking terrifying. Well, I know you have to go because you have a gig tonight. Please, if you want people who are watching this to take something away from this, what is the most important thing you can leave with them?
Well, I always say this, like, people always tell me net neutrality is not the sexiest topic in the world, and I certainly understand that. But what I always say back to people these days is I'm like, you know what? If it ever becomes sexy, it'll be because it's too late. Because it'll be because it's gone and people will realize how important it was. So let's not let it get to that point. Let's realize that it's sexy, and we can tell people how sexy it is by not being sexy because we hang on to it. So let's keep it sexy, but not sexy, if that makes sense. And, like go to battleforthenet.com. Please do sign those petitions, and keep a lookout for what's going to happen next. And then also on a personal level, I would like to mention to everybody, if you have not watched it yet, I released a pilot on March 1st called Loner. And I would love it if everybody would check it out. You can find it on my YouTube channel. You can find it on my Twitter account. I'm just at Ron Placone, and it's my pinned tweet. So please do check that out. I'm real excited, and I want to make the rest of the series really soon to finish the story for everybody. But that pilot is out now. It's totally free. It's on YouTube. Check it out. And I'm on the road a little bit coming up. I got shows April 14th in Los Angeles, and then May 12th in Los Angeles. I'm doing a little residency at the Glendale Room in LA. June, Madison, Wisconsin on June 16th. Minneapolis, Minnesota, June 17th. Detroit, June 23rd. Tickets are not available yet, but hold the date, Detroit, because I will be there June 23rd, and I'll be posting as soon as tickets are available. June 29th, Chicago, Illinois. Tickets are available for Madison, Minneapolis, and Chicago, and you can use the promo code Lucy at checkout for an early bird special for those June shows. So don't wait. Get your tickets now, and you can get all those tickets at ronplacone.com. And I'll be in Edinburgh, Scotland in August. I'm doing the Fringe Festival August 16th through 27th. I'll be at the Little Cellar at 32 Below, 4 p.m. each day. So if you're in Edinburgh, come hang out with me.
I want to go.
Hey, it's a decision away. Yeah, I mean, come on out.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
plan a trip. I mean, it's it's the biggest arts festival in the world, so it's it's a pretty I've never been. I mean, it's my first time going. I've been to Edinburgh before, but I've never been to the Fringe before, so I don't even know what to expect. But I'm excited to be part of it. I'm excited to be doing my show there. You got to title your show, and my show is called "Balding is Punk Rock." I thought that was a fun title that would bring people in. So yeah,
Balding is punk rock.
Balding is Punk Rock.
You're not balding, are you?
I think I am, but it does.
What?
It is a reference to a
You're
joke in
not.
my act. I am. I mean, that's nice of you to say. I mean. By the way,
Well, I am
everybody,
blind, but-
Joy is legally blind. So yeah, the legally blind lady says I'm not balding. I'll put that. I'll put that feather in my cap that I'll be wearing more often because I am balding.
You're welcome. I'm good for reassurance. Well, thank you so much again for joining. It was great to talk to you. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've met, this is my 4th day in a row of doing shows plus working plus this medical shit. So I'm fucking exhausted. If you missed any of my shows this week, check them out. Monday was postmortem with Andrew. Tuesday, I had the beautiful soul, John Holler, from Ohio Valley. He's been on the ground in East Palestine. And last night I had the author of the Anarchist Cookbook / co-founder of Food Not Bombs, Keith McHenry.
Keith's cool.
Check those shows out if you have not yet seen them. I will be back Monday with Available Andrew at 9:30 for Postmortem Breakdown. Also, if you have a few dollars, I really need help with new patrons. Please, please, please. As little as $3 a month. Thank you so much. Much love to all of you, and I will see you Monday.